Family, so many things happen with us towards the end of the year, as I've been talking about, whether it is writing your performance review and really taking the time to craft your story. Again, I gave you the acronym of SARBs: situations, actions, results, benefits as a framework for that. Whether it's getting ready for the discussion emotionally, right? Being able to sit down with your manager and such and talk about what you've done and all those different things. And then to start pivoting, thinking about the next year ahead of you, what you may want to accomplish. Within all of that, we can't help but also process maybe some things that didn't happen, right? That we hope that happen this year. Some of the things we expected to accomplish that maybe we did not accomplish. Some of the areas we expected to develop in that we maybe did not develop in. And sometimes during those thoughts, an unraveling can occur, right? Let's be honest. Sometimes an unraveling can occur emotionally, logically, etc. And you could go into a mid-career crisis where you start to feel, this all does not make sense to me. I'm not sure where I'm going. I'm not sure how I feel about where I currently work. And so I wanted to cover a few things that might be helpful if you are in that space or find yourself drifting to that space, quite frankly. And let's start with what often leads to it. There are really four things. There's a lot of things that often lead to it, but four major themes that kind of rest at the top of that list. The number one is unmet expectations, the things you hoped to get out of your career to date or in this moment, those expectations are not being met. And of course, one of the things you're going to naturally do is point to where you currently work. That's natural to do. Secondly, lack of opportunities and growth. Where you're at today, you don't feel like there's nowhere to go from there. You don't feel there's anywhere to go. You look to the left or the right, you feel squeezed in, boxed in, you look upward, which is the natural thing to do. You want to move up in your career typically. You don't see it. And so, whether it's a horizontal move, which by the way, I'm highly appreciative of lateral moves. A lot of times we look down on lateral moves. Do not look down on lateral moves, family. Lateral moves, if they give you an opportunity to grow and develop your skill set in a different way, they can be good for you. Not everything needs to be a quote unquote promotion. Thirdly, change in personal priorities. That's real. You change and evolve, and thus your priorities change and evolve. And if so, you may be taking this time again during this season as you're evaluating things, and you say, wow, wait a minute, hold up. This is no longer on the path I intend to take. And so things have just changed. That's okay. And fourthly, a strong pull towards your inner passion. This is a beautiful thing. You've started to pivot away from chasing quote unquote the bag to what you've been developed to do, the gifts and talents that God is giving you to do that evolves into passion and purpose. And you say, well, I want to chase more of that. All of those things can happen, family. All of those things can happen. And if they haven't happened yet, let me say this. I often think sometimes in order to get to the problem, we have to be more astute of what the symptoms of a problem could look like. So you may say, I don't have a mid-career crisis. Maybe, maybe not. But let's talk about some of the symptoms. Four symptoms: lack of enthusiasm. You don't feel excited about where you're going to work, physically or virtually. When you get up and walk down the hallway to your home office or get in a car and go, it feels like a major chore. It feels like a major body of, I'm not sure about this. Okay. Two, dissatisfaction, flat out. You don't enjoy it anymore. Three, quiet quitting. So quiet quitting is when you say you're going to do 40 hours of work, 8 hours a day, whatever the case may be. You do a bit of work, you check out. You play whatever game you like to play. Right now, it's Monopoly Go for a lot of people, right? Whatever it is. That's it. You pedal back. You don't give your all anymore. You do just enough to check the box and quote unquote stay below the radar. Fourthly, constant fatigue. And this is an interesting one. You may get 7, 8 hours of sleep a night, but you still feel fatigued. You can't get your body going. You can't hold on to the energy. Those are four symptoms that you may be, guess what, in that state of mid-career crisis. So now let's pivot. What do we do about it? What do we do about it? Careers are important. Man don't work, man don't eat. It should not be the principal thing we focus on every day, but we certainly have to have it in our set of priorities, our career. And so four things that you can do. One, stay occupied. And by that, I don't mean dismiss what you're feeling. I mean just not letting yourself continually do mental gymnastics about it. You have to fill your mind with other things and keep yourself going. How do you do that? Right? You can do that in a couple different ways. One, divert your mind. Let go of the hostility and focusing on it constantly. Get a hobby, listen to music while you work, do some audio books while you commute, etc., etc. Secondly, get away. Research says that 46%, I mean, really think about this when I say this, 46% of US workers do not use all of their paid off time. That's almost half, family. That's almost half. I mean, if you're in a room with somebody else right now, look around the room. If there's 10 people, half of you are not using all your paid time off. Well, paid time off is not a gift. It is necessary. You need to step away from work periodically to refresh and rejuvenate yourself. Take that time, please. Doesn't have to be a lavish vacation. It could be a staycation, or you could just go somewhere you've never gone before for a day or two, right? Maybe, I don't know. It's the beach. It's a park, so on and so forth. And you can keep your expenses low. I'm very expense conscious. I get that. I'm totally there. So it's not about being lavish. It's about getting away from the work and letting your mind relax. 3, look for options, right? Crises doesn't mean that you necessarily dislike or hate your job. There could be a couple tweaks you could make that might make things all the better for you. It could be an element of the work. It could be a certain meeting or meetings. It could be, let's be honest, some of the people you work with. Look for those options for resolution. And then lastly, consult your mentors. Mentors are excellent at providing perspective, listening to you, helping you be reflective. And good mentors are going to do a couple things as well. Help you assess your current state, but also help you define where it is you want to go. And then helping you think through, well, what is the bridge between where I am and where I want to go? And by the way, if you don't have mentors, get some. I've talked about this a multitude of times, the importance of mentors and sponsors in your journey. If you haven't heard that, I'd ask you to go back and listen to the podcast version of it and dig in, right? You need a counsel around you helping you. And last but not least, let me close with this. Never let a good crisis go to waste. If you're in a mid-career crisis, you know what that is? That's a burning platform for you to do a couple things. Make some decisions after you assess, take some actions, and then keep it moving.